Last time on the channel I talked about the greatest cinematic achievement of all time, Venom 2. Fuck that movie. So to clean the stains of the piece of turd that Venom 2 was off of myself, I decided to watch something that is actually good and something that would help me beat the kids better. And that is what we are going to talk about today. So sit down, get your dumplings ready, because we are going to talk about And what better place to start than the opening sequence, because oh boy, this movie does not go easy on anything. Let's go. We open with this highly stylistic visual palette which makes it all seem quite intense, and on top of that we have Jack Black voicing Poe, which if I was Cinema Wins I would definitely give it a point, and if I was Cinema Sins I would delete my channel. So Jack Black is narrating the whole sequence, and just as it starts off you know exactly what kind of movie this is going to be, as within the first 6 seconds Poe says the word legend like 3 times in a single sentence.
Legend tells of a legendary warrior whose kung fu skills were the stuff of legend.
Now, one of the jobs an opening has is to establish the tone for the entire experience that you're about to have. It does not have to do this, but generally if you can communicate the tone and the approach of the story through your opening, then that's really good. One fine example would be Indiana Jones, Raiders of the Lost Ark. This movie does not start with Indiana Jones making coffee while he listens to Baby by Justin Bieber, partly because that is a shitty song and partly because that would not be a very good opening. So instead of opening it with Indiana Jones petting his dog, they start the movie in this jungle where we are following these few characters as they go through this mysterious place. We meet our protagonist Indiana Jones, and the first time we see him he does this cool ass whip thing and takes this man's gun away. He goes through multiple dangerous booby traps boobs and secret doors and manages to get hold of this artifact, only to be betrayed by his sidekick Alfred Molina and then defeated by Belak, who is one of the villains in the story. Yet he manages to somehow escape the place. This short 10-minute opening sequence does so many things right. First of all, it tells you exactly the kind of story this is going to be, an action adventure with one hell of madness and extremely fun set pieces. It communicates the nature of the story and it introduces us to the protagonist of the story while also establishing him as a badass, and it also introduces one of the villains. All this while still keeping the scene short, simple and entertaining in of itself. This is a ridiculously well written sequence. Now let's come back to Kung Fu Panda. What this opening does is first of all tell you that this is going to be a light-hearted kung fu flick which does not take itself that seriously, as is evident by the title. But while this is light-hearted and self-aware, it always remembers to pay respect to the art of Kung Fu itself. You see that not only in the music but also with the sick visuals. As the scene progresses, it becomes more and more evident that the whole thing is Poe's fantasy because of lines like these.
He's too awesome!
And attractive.
How can we repay you? There is no charge for awesomeness or attractiveness.
Poe talks about the Furious Five being eager to join him because in reality, he is the one that wants to join them. And just when he's about to kick some more ass and be this really cool warrior person,
What?
he is a loser. He's the loser who works at his father's restaurant and serves the customers there. Not the epic hero, not the kick-ass warrior. A fat panda who works at a restaurant, who has miniature figures of the Furious Five in his room. It is shown that he likes Kung Fu, so much so that he dreams about it, but in terms of actual skills,
Coming!
this opening sets the stage for what is about to come with this fat panda, and it also provides some exposition on the Furious Five, who would be evident characters in the story later on. And now that we're on it, let's talk about the protagonist of our story, shall we? Now, if you have spent some time listening to people talk about stories and writing, then you probably heard them talk about character building. It is basically who and what your character is. Now, the way I see it, character building is one of the most prominent jobs that a writer has. So let's talk about this guy. When you look at him, what do you see? You see a fat panda, my friend. Like, on the surface, this guy is a complete boo-boo. He's not good at anything, unless that anything includes being a role model for the fat acceptance people. And he does not like stairs, which is, yeah, relatable. But it's not just the surface level details. There's more to his character that involves details that are personal, things that people do not get when they first look at him, or when they look at him twice or any amount of times, really. I mean, the only thing that people can get when they look at him is megalophobia. See, that was a smart joke that you will have to Google to understand. If you understood that without Google, please don't reveal my IP address. But yeah, the point is, there are aspects to Poe's character that make him more three-dimensional, more relatable, those aspects being self-doubt and aspiration. These two emotions are at the core of his character, and these things are communicated in a very smart manner too. So let's take a look at how effectively and efficiently Poe's character is built in a very short amount of time. Right from the over-the-top intro scene, we know that he likes Kung Fu, and he wants to fight people and do cool stuff like the Furious 5 do. This is again emphasized by the action figurines that he has in his room. But his current skill level is...
Coming!
Then he slides down to the kitchen where his father is. His father asks about the noise. He says it was a dream that he had. What dream? His father asks. And Poe says a dream about noodles. His father gets all excited. It is about time that you will fulfill your destiny and run this restaurant. What's interesting is, even though his father is talking about him running the restaurant, this also applies to his actual dream. Him dreaming about the Kung Fu is a sign. Not only does he like the sport, but saying that by dreaming about the noodles he's about to fulfill his destiny is a nice way to foreshadow his journey where he will fulfill his destiny and become a dragon warrior. His father also talks about how he once dreamed of making tofu, but that was a stupid dream because we all have a place in the world. Again, nicely foreshadowing the journey Poe about to have, as his place is somewhere else. This is probably also a good time to talk about the pacing in this film, which is done quite well. Things do not linger any longer than they have to. We get a scene, the scene does what it was supposed to do, and when it is done, we move on to the next scene. We get to know so much about the world and the characters in these initial scenes, and still, all of it does not feel rushed. It would have felt rushed if all the information was thrown in your face, but it is not. Instead, it is delivered with subtlety in an efficient and funny manner. Also, this visual gag is pretty funny, just want to mention that.
But who? Who is worthy to be trusted with the secret to limitless power to become the Dragon Warrior? I don't know. Excuse me. Sorry.
I don't know about that. Now let's move on and talk about the antagonist of our story, Tai Lung, because his establishment in the story is even more interesting and well done than Poe's. Before we even see him, we have people constantly talking about him. First time in the movie when Master Oogway mentions his name, and this is Master Shifu's reaction.
That is impossible.
Then he immediately sends a messenger to the prison ordering them to double the guards, double the weapons, double everything. This is pretty self-evident, but yeah, the movie is building Tai Lung up. It is telling you things about his character without making any direct comment on his abilities. It does not outright say, "Oh my god, Tai Lung is dangerous." But the mere fact that Shifu wants the guards doubled is concerning. When the messenger gets to the prison, we are given another piece of information.
One way in, one way out. 1,000 guards and one prisoner.
1,000 guards for one prisoner. If you had any doubts about the destructive abilities of this guy, well, now you know. There's this incredibly complex and strong prison set up with 1,000 men just to keep this one dude from breaking out.
Behold, Tai Lung.
That is a sick shot. This guy is here deep down, surrounded by all the weaponry and safety precautions. The movie just keeps building him up and up with every single scene that has anything to do with him. Every scene that has his mention makes him more of a threat. It's like the movie is adding bricks on top of bricks with every single scene before putting the big stone on the top. And this is that big stone. Behold. He manages to unlock the shield with the feather that fell down. His hands are tied down with these enormous pieces of rocks. Well, they were tied down. He stops the spear with his claws, kicks it back, then kicks them all back, creating a way to climb back up. The archers make arrows rain down on him, but he manages to get under this platform just in time. Swings himself up onto the bridge and obliterates everyone on that. Gets to the next bridge and does the same while demonstrating great skill. The men make the bridge fall down, but as it is falling down, the mad lad does parkour on the falling pieces of the bridge. Yeah, Tai Lung did it first. Suck on that, mediocre Legolas. Not you, I still love you. Smashes the place to pieces and blasts his way out, defeating 1,000 guards.
Fly back there and tell them the real Dragon Warrior is coming home.
That is one goddamn hell of a villain, and we haven't even discussed his character motivation yet. Like, still, he is better than what most movies are able to do with their villains. We also get this flashback with Shifu and Tai Lung, which fleshes out both of these characters. We get to know how Tai Lung ended up the way he did. He became self-obsessed. He never was the pure-hearted fighter. He wanted the dragon scroll to fuel his ego, and the poor man Shifu had to go against him. Had to go against the little precious kid that he raised, the kid that meant everything to him. He was in a way the last person Shifu ever truly loved or ever truly cared about. The poor man had to attack his own child, and like any parent who loves their children, he could not. He could not bring himself to hurt this kid. Oogway had to take him down, and Shifu had to watch his child fall off. So much work done for the two characters in such a small amount of time. They even added to Tigress's personality with this little moment.
Or since.
We have talked about your hero and villain having an interesting dynamic. The protagonist and the antagonist of your story cannot be just random people. They have to be custom made for each other in a way. They have to complement each other's characters. I'll tell you what I mean. The difference between this guy and this guy is it's night and day. It's beyond night and day. This is a UFC pro fighter, and this is Stephen Hawking without the genius. This is like Amy Schumer, and this is a funny person. There's no way this thing can stay alive for more than a second in a fight with this thing. The thing that just... Needless to say, this makes for a very interesting setup. Every time the film cuts to Tai Lung, we get some threatening action, some skillful fighting, people being terrified of his name, and when it cuts to Po, look at this. And now look at this. And it's not only the writing or what is shown to the audience, it's also about how it is shown. Notice when we are with Po and the villagers, the colors are all soft. There's green, there's orange, there are bright skies. Every color is bursting out with playfulness. And when we are with Tai Lung, it is the complete opposite. There are no soft greens and oranges, no comforting color. The lighting is sharp, there are hard shadows everywhere. While the earlier scenes were full of life and joy, these scenes are dark. There's sharp red and blue, there's this ominous feeling. When Tai Lung is fighting the Furious Five, the sky is completely clouded. This makes it look like the approaching of a storm. You have this extremely skilled fighter and this fat dumb panda. Am I going to offend people by calling him fat?
Tai Lung has escaped from prison. He is coming for the dragon scroll, and you are the only one who can stop him.
Nah, he's not. These visual touches show how much effort and care went into making this thing. Like, the people who made this, the writers, the animators, everyone wanted to make something good. The two are really well established. One has all the skills in the world. He's the best fighter to ever learn under Shifu or any other master for that matter. When it comes to hand-to-hand combat, this guy is the absolute pro. Like, the Furious Five that can put Po down without a shred of effort are all of no use against his kung fu skills. The best they all could do together was to stop him for a while. This dude has all the physical prowess but lacks humility, lacks love, compassion, lacks the goodness that makes a warrior great. Po, on the other hand, is an absolute disaster when it comes to combat skills. These two characters function beautifully to highlight the other characters' abilities and flaws. And the best part is that the movie establishes this connection without one of them saying,
You and I are the same.
Poe's kung fu skills are as good as Saul Goodman's, but what he does have is a pure heart. No matter his capabilities, this guy will do good. There's this sense of perseverance in him, this not giving up. All he needed was someone to teach him, someone to believe in him. All his life, the only person who ever truly showed trust in him was Master Oogway, and more importantly than all of that, he needed to believe in himself. Maybe that's what Master Oogway saw in him.
That flabby panda can't possibly be the answer to our problem. That was just an accident.
There are no accidents.
He saw the potential for a great warrior. He saw a good, pure soul that, with the correct guidance, could become worthy of the Dragon Scroll. The ultimate secret, the final lesson that a dragon warrior needs, the most elite power that there is. And now we're going to talk about the most controversial part, the theme of the story. Now, the reason I say this is controversial is because the word theme is thrown around a lot in the video essay community. Sometimes to actually praise the craft of a movie, and other times to cover up for the poor work that was done in the other aspects of storytelling. Now, this is not the best instance of a well-executed theme. No, this is not even the best instance of an animated movie executing its theme well. But it is good regardless, and it is something that resonates with me a lot. As I've said before, so much of this movie revolves around how other people see Po and how he sees himself. And in the start of the movie, the answer to both of these questions is the same: a loser. He is humiliated by almost every single person in this movie, from his peers to his teacher, the guy who's supposed to train him. There's the scene where after a very bad day at training, the Furious Five are heading back to the palace while talking about Po, again laughing at him.
One would think that Master Oogway would choose someone who actually knew Kung Fu.
Yeah, or could at least touch his toes.
Or even see his toes.
And he is behind them, listening to all of it, trying to touch his toes. This scene breaks my heart, it really does. It's good, yeah, it's good. The score in the background complements everything nicely. Like, there have been times where I have felt the same, and this scene really hits home. The guy has no one who actually believes in him. The one guy that did is also gone now. He thought maybe he could learn Kung Fu, and then he got his ass kicked. Again. In his own words, he sucked more than anyone in the history of sucking. So, what does he do? After being beaten, humiliated, laughed at, what does he do? He goes back there the next morning to train. Did not know how he would do that, but he did go back. When Shifu thought he was gone for good, the guy was just trying to practice out here all by himself, and yeah, he got stuck. When he is about to run away because of Tai Lung, Master Shifu stops him.
You never believed that. From the first moment I got here, you've been trying to get rid of me.
He thinks he's nothing, but then Master Shifu sees the potential in him and trains him. For real this time. The Dragon Scroll just drives home the whole narrative idea. This is the final prize that a dragon warrior could have. This could be the most amazing power in the world. So when Tai Lung is about to come to the village, Po gets the scroll and it's empty. There's nothing. No superpower, no special trick, nothing. Disappointed, he goes back to his father, who finally decides to tell him about the secret ingredient to his secret soup. And the secret ingredient is...
Nothing.
There is no secret ingredient to making the special soup. There's just the person making it. That is the secret ingredient. And he finally gets it. This idiot who was good for nothing, this Dumbo who was constantly doubting himself through the whole journey because everyone around him was doubting him too, gets it. There is no secret trick. It is you. You yourself are the secret. The trust you put in yourself. And finally, when the climax hits, that trust, that self-confidence is what helps him win the fight.
What are you gonna do, big guy? Sit on me?
There was no other world power that he needed. There was no secret sauce required. He just needed to believe in himself, along with the humility and the kind-heartedness. That is what differentiates a good warrior from a great one.
You're bluffing. You're bluffing! Shifu didn't teach you that.
Nope. I figured it out. Skadoosh.
So that was Kung Fu Panda, a good movie, we can conclude, I guess. If you like the video, then you know the drill. I will see you guys next time. Until then, bye.